Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and we're going to do a little Week 8 review. All the games that just ended up. Minnesota, New Orleans just finished up here just a second ago. So we're going to go through, not all the games, we're going to go through mainly the best performances we saw, maybe some disappointments as we get going here. But make sure you guys, before we do that, go check us out on Twitter at the FF Prophet or Instagram at Fantasy Football Prophet. Check out us out on YouTube as well at Fantasy Football Prophet. All right, so you just might as well go over some of the top guys again, which looks like, no surprise, Todd Gurley's up at the top, but James Conner again just keeps doing it every single week. The people that have James Conner, it's going to be, if you have James Conner and don't have Bell, it's going to be a disappointment when Bell comes back. And shoot, even if Bell comes, okay, Jeff, you're a James Conner owner. Do you even you have Bell as well? Do you even want Bell to come back at this point? I mean,
no, not really.
James Conner is doing exactly what you would have hoped Bell would do.
Exactly. Really, it only hurts if Bell comes back now. So either you have someone that is probably a little rusty and he takes the bell cow position, or more than likely they split carries and neither of them are, as good as what James Conner is right now. So at this point, I never thought I would say it, but I'm really hoping that Bell stays away, and I have both of them. But I think I can only be hurt by him coming back now.
Because at this point, with how he's played, how is there any possibility that if Bell comes back, they don't use Conner as well? Quite a bit. Not like this won't be like it's been in the past with Pittsburgh. Well, even right now, they use one running back and that's it. They've done that in the past where, D'Angelo Williams did it for a while. And then when Bell came back, D'Angelo Williams just disappeared, even though he played great. I don't think that's going to happen with James Conner. There just doesn't seem to be a way that happens.
Yeah, I highly, highly doubt it. I think it would be much more of a, New Orleans situation where it's kind of Kamara and Ingram, but they have, more similar styles than those two. I think that's what they would do in order to try to protect, obviously, Conner, which is their future investment now.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're in keeper leagues about trading away James Conner, it's hard to do that with the keeper value possibly for next year, which, I'm pretty sure there's no way Bell's coming back with all this. So Conner, oh man, it's weird that it's turned into this situation where you don't even want Bell to come back. Unless you're a Bell owner with no James Conner, but I'm actually a James Conner owner with no Bell in a league. So man, it's going to be. I just don't want Bell to come back anymore. That's it. Conner's too good. But like we said, the next guy on the list, I'll say, off scoring wise, Todd Gurley, great again. Does it every week, no surprise. But third player right now in scoring for running backs this week is Marlon Mack. 26.9 in standard, 132 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. He's done it 2 weeks in a row. In really big games, not just looked pretty good. This is huge for Marlon Mack. And now he has a bye, which this is the part that's disappointing. He has a bye week. Then he plays Jacksonville. Then he has the Tennessee-Miami games, which aren't bad, but then he plays Jacksonville again. So the schedule isn't great, but man, this guy is way more than we ever expected he could be. And I liked Marlon Mack quite a bit last year. I was one of his biggest, believers, but I never expected anything like this from this guy.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Good to see. Really. But yeah, I think you definitely talked about the schedule coming up is what does concern me, because you said the last two, but really, he didn't get in the end zone, but really it's been 3 games in a row where he's looked good. With the touches he's gotten and how many yards he was able to produce. But yeah, bye, and then Jacksonville, even Tennessee, their defense is relatively good. But so, really 3 out of, you take away the bye, but even that, the next 5 weeks is going to be rough.
Yeah, it's been great, but yeah, can this continue? He's played Buffalo, he's played Oakland these last 2 weeks, and the Jets before that. So it hasn't been the toughest stretch of games. It's promising, but I'm not 100% sold. This kind of level of production is probably not for real. He's going to be a good player, but this isn't probably what you should expect. You shouldn't see him up here with James Conner, Todd Gurley every week.
No.
At least.
And I always wonder, and I have to ask the question, because he has done so well the past 2 weeks, and because he is about to hit a tough row of games, is he a prime candidate if you haven't hit your trade deadline yet to ship off in order to get someone that you believe in a little more? Or do you think that you believe in him enough in order to hold off and just use him down the stretch?
I would look to trade him, possibly, but I wouldn't want to trade him for you need some pretty good value. I don't know what that is. Because this is a weird thing. As you were talking, I'm looking to try to think, okay, what kind of deal would you try to think of right here? So, you could trade Marlon Mack and try to get David Johnson. Would you actually want David Johnson for Marlon Mack right now?
Yeah, I would.
You still would?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. So that to me, if you still are a believer in David Johnson, that is probably a move you could try, I would think. Marlon Mack, and they're both on bye in week 9, so it's the same kind of thing. You're not going to, win one over on somebody, or they're not going to hesitate to get Mack because of a bye situation when they're on the same. That's an interesting one. So if you believe, and not everyone might not agree with us. Maybe we're too slow to react to it if this has changed and how these players are too, but I think I'd still want David Johnson. I believe he's still the player to have here over Marlon Mack. I mean, that's an interesting. I would try to that though. That's a kind of a move I would think I would try to make. Trade Mack, try to get David Johnson. After his bye, Johnson plays Kansas City, Oakland, the Chargers, Green Bay, Detroit, Atlanta.
Right, much more favorable.
Yeah, that's a move I would definitely try to make that trade. That's I think a prime one. I don't know what other route you could go with that, because I'd trade him for other players like Kareem Hunt or something, but you're not going to get that deal through.
Yeah,
no one's going to go for that. But David Johnson's one you could actually possibly make work. So, yeah, crazy. But it's crazy I even thought about it for a second.
Right.
Let's come to that. Some other guys here then at the top. Joe Mixon looks great. This is pretty much the player which we thought he could be, and we talked about all preseason. And he had a down week last week, but ever since his coming back from the injury, he's had 3 or 4 games that have been really good. And he's a really good running back. He's a top 10 guy, getting closer to top 5 guy right now for us with the way running back's been going. He just gets it done every time. But a lot of bye weeks this week in week 9.
Yeah, I was looking at that too as we're going. Yeah, Mixon is out next week.
He's been great.
But yeah, and he should continue to be that caliber player. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. Bengals their offense has been pretty good, and KC, he didn't do a whole lot, which is a little worrisome. And Tampa Bay is obviously not the greatest defense; they're really poor. But at the same time, he's finally getting into the end zone the past 2 out of the 3 games, and that's really what I wanted to see out of him, because he's been producing the yardage. He just hasn't been able to get into the end zone, and I feel like they're putting him in position to succeed in that realm now. And obviously you saw it in Tampa Bay getting in multiple times.
How about Adrian Peterson? 149 yards and a touchdown, caught a touchdown pass as well. Can this sustain itself? Can he keep playing like this? He didn't have a lot of touchdowns recently before this week, but then he's had 2 really bad games this year, where we had 11 carries for 20 yards and 4 carries for 6 yards. Take away those 2. His other 5 games, 96 yards and a touchdown, 120 and 2, 97, 99, 149 and 1. This guy is still pretty good. I just don't know if he can sustain it throughout the season.
Yeah, I do worry about his age a little bit, but he's looking really, really good. And Washington is built in a way that they need to pound the ball out, and he's definitely their best option. So I don't see the game plan changing at all. I actually do believe in Adrian Peterson, and he is kind of one of those unusual players that I would say, no, he's too old. He's going to, wear and tear. But Adrian Peterson, how many times has he proven us wrong in the past? He's just a freak of nature. He is, one of the all-time greats, and he just keeps producing, and he looks really good. He's got the speed still. He's got the burst. I really enjoyed watching him play this week. I do. I'm kind of turning into a believer. There's no reason not to. I mean, look at the numbers you just, rattled off.
I think he can keep doing it too. In the next 2 weeks, Atlanta, Tampa, not a bad group of teams, a couple teams to play there. Washington's 5-2 right now in the year, playing this kind of game. Why wouldn't they continue it? They got Alex Smith at quarterback. Not much to throw the ball to for him, really. They want to run the ball to Adrian Peterson, and last two games, 24 carries, 26 carries. They're just going to keep running this guy. And if he can stay healthy, it's going to be I think he's going to be a pretty good player here. And he's close to pretty much a top 10 guy right now. I think he has to be with the volume he's getting.
Yeah, it's very close. I would have to kind of go through the numbers, but yeah, he's definitely on that edge right there.
And some other good games. Let's see. Kamara, another good one. Got 2 touchdowns, 1 receiving, one rushing. He doesn't have to get huge volume running the ball. It doesn't even have to get huge volume for yardage all the time. The guy's just good. He finds a way, and they just get him into the end zone every time. So he's not putting up those massive games right now, but he's still very, very good. Probably do no wrong with him, except he got the Rams coming up, which could be a worry, but not enough for Kamara.
No, he's a plug and play guy. I have no doubt every time he shows up on my roster, he will be in no matter what.
Ingram got 13 carries as well, but that's going to be what the case is. Kamara's going to be the one who gets more touchdowns, I think, unless they're on the 1. But even then, Kamara's going to get the ball in those situations too sometimes. So there's no guarantee it's not, Ingram's he's not like the goal line guy. He really isn't. I thought he would be.
Yeah, no, I was kind of worried about that as well, but no, they were using Kamara when they're in the red zone down in the 5-yard line. Really, both of these guys can really do it all, but Kamara is definitely more of a threat when they're talking about passing. So I think they like putting him in there to give different looks to the defense, so they don't think that they're just going to run up the gut with Ingram.
Well, look, here's a guy I just for some reason can't buy into, but he's now just at his 3rd 100-yard game of the year, and that's Chris Carson.
Right.
I can't buy into it, but he has 300-yard games now.
I have a hard time too because I know he's been hurt and banged up, and they've been kind of shuffling those guys around. But Seattle, their backfield is so difficult to figure out who's going to play when and why. That is what kind of distracts me from this, because even when he's obviously getting the workload, right? So when he's been healthy, the last couple of games, 32 carries, 19, 14, and 25. Really, you're getting double-digit carries no matter what. That's great. So obviously Chris Carson is a very good running back to have. But I wouldn't put it past Seattle to, say, hey, Mike Davis has had the hot hand, or we really want to see what we have in Penny. And all of a sudden he gets, 12 carries and Penny gets 15. I don't know. I feel very uncertain about that backfield, even though he is by far the one to have there. And you're playing him right now. I just have this bad feeling that something could change in 3 games.
All right, here's a backfield that I never know what is going to happen, and you might as well just stay away completely, and that's San Francisco. I don't understand how they use these guys.
No, it doesn't make any sense to me anymore either.
Burrito we thought was injured and would be limited, and yet he leads the team in 16 carries. Didn't see that coming. Morris gets 6, and whatever his name is,
right.
Raheem, 2 for 18. As people were starting to, talk him up, I told a couple people to play him, and he gets 2 carries.
Yeah, only 2, and he got 18 yards off of them. Yeah. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't either. It's just you can't trust it at all. It's really random. I'd say that. It's just who knows, and yeah, it's strange. So then, let's keep with the running backs here. Some of the bad games. You got Crowell, did nothing this week. You're going to think with Powell out, okay, now it's Crowell's backfield. He's going to be able to do something in 13 carries, 25 yards. He's not a guy who can do much in a tough matchup. Chicago's a tougher matchup. Crowell's not good enough to do anything in it. So, hard to rely on a guy like that. I probably wouldn't if you can help it. I mean, I know next week and bye weeks are just rough in general. You have to play guys you don't want to play, but I'd probably stay away from Isaiah Crowell. I can't buy into this guy. I know he's pretty good numbers right now, but I think it's all a fluke.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I know that he had a tough matchup. It was at Chicago. Chicago's a good defense, so I didn't expect a whole lot from him this week. But I mean, really, the past 3 weeks when he should be the guy, his number, his carries haven't really gone up. 13, 11, 13. He just hasn't had enough production. Every once in a while, he'll have a huge game. But if you look at the yardage, really 2 games stand out. Other than that, he's been just a grinded out back. I'm not that interested in Crowell lately.
Then move over to some wide receivers. How about Mike Evans? In standard scoring right now is the top scoring wide receiver with 23.9 on the week. 6 catches, 179 yards, and a touchdown. Funny thing is with Mike Evans, every time you see one of his big games, it's still only about 6 catches. 6, 7 catches. He rarely gets higher than that. He just puts up big yardage. And he had a scare there. It looked like, man, I was watching that live. It looked like he had a non-contact knee injury. I'm thinking ACL, and he's back a couple plays later. It's fine. It was a scary couple of minutes there, though. But part of that was with Ryan Fitzpatrick in there.
Yeah, what is going to happen with that situation? I would venture a guess, but I know that it would be all speculation.
Because, Winston looked terrible. Fitzpatrick comes in, and
he looked great.
Good Fitzpatrick. It's just, that guy, Ryan Fitzpatrick, it's the strangest situation with him. How he can look so good at times, but you just know it will turn if he's in there. It just will. So he was 11 for 15, 194 yards and 2 touchdowns in the little bit of time he played.
Yeah, I brought him back. I mean, he made the game worth watching. Yeah. That last drive and then the 2-point conversion. Oh my gosh, it was a ton of fun. But who knows? I don't know what Tampa Bay is doing anymore.
Then Marvin Jones was the second highest scoring receiver in standard right now with 23.7 after 7 for 117 and 2 touchdowns. Again, the Lions wide receiver is another one. It's just hard to know who's going to be the one to step up there. I think if you have one of them, you kind of play them. Galladay's had 2 disappointments in a row. Tate only had 50 yards, so it's Jones' stay. I guess you just don't know. I mean, actually, looking at Golden Tate, his last 3 games have been 4.2, 6.6, 5.3. Jeez. That's not good.
No, I mean, yeah, no, without a doubt. No one has established themselves as kind of top dog, and it's kind of worked for the Lions a little bit. But it would be nice if you actually could figure out who's going to do what. That's why I was always a Marvin Jones fan, because you can get him late and then he would produce because he was kind of the touchdown maker. But with Galladay in there, it skewed those numbers even more. You didn't know if Galladay was going to catch the touchdowns, Marvin Jones, and then Tate would eat up yardage. So you could kind of plan in that dynamic, but it is all over the board right now. It's very difficult. Marvin Jones, I did play him in a couple of my leagues, so I was very happy. But I was really, at this point, I was like, if he gets 5 points, that's a win.
Yep, pretty much. How about Sammy Watkins? Looked pretty good. 8 for 107 and 2 touchdowns. Not bad.
No, great to see. I mean, that's what's so fun about the KC offense, though. Like, any single individual can go off and have a huge game because just the amount of scoring they do. And finally, it was Sammy Watkins' turn, because he, even though he's had like 7, 8 points because of yardage, he hadn't have a touchdown in the past like 5 weeks or so. So it's very good to see him finally get back in there, and twice, no less.
Tyler Boyd had a nice bounce back game after disappointing one last week for 9 for 138 and a touchdown. He's a guy he's just a pretty decent wide receiver too. He's gonna have some games like this and some others not great, but he's definitely a nice find this year. Did not see this coming from Tyler Boyd at all. He wasn't on my radar this year.
No, he has been one of the more impressive players for sure.
Then Larry Fitzgerald actually bounced back, 8 for 102 and a touchdown. So this is the first game with Byron Leftwich, offense coordinator, in Looks like they tried to find a way to get Fitzgerald the ball, and wow, he finally actually did something here. Basically, I think this game would have been probably almost more points combined than his first 6 games, pretty much. It's been a struggle, but do you trust this at all, even slightly?
No. No, I don't. I mean, I love Fitzgerald. I was thinking about it, but no.
We have to see something up. One more.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough out of Arizona. It's great. 2 touchdowns, 2 weeks, but you're about to hit a bye, and you do have KC, so that is a good matchup because they'll have to throw a lot. But no, I think with this offense, what they're doing, Fitzgerald kind of at the end of his career, even though he's very good still, it's no one that I'm excited to play in my roster.
Diggs and Thielen both had good games. Diggs did end up outscoring Thielen there at the end. Had a nice long catch there towards the end. Get slightly ahead, but both players are great. Thielen, another 100-yard game. The guy's just good every single week. He came into this week, the second best player in standard scoring, and 15.8 is not going to hurt him. He's going to stay up there. Just good. And Diggs finally, it's been a couple weeks, so it's nice to see him actually, play really well again. Now they get Detroit next week, and I have no confidence in Detroit. It's the life of a Lions fan. Week to week, it changes. Last week, I would have told you they're a good team, and now I think they're terrible again. So
Yeah.
They can throw all over them if they want.
Oh, yeah. Thielen. I think Thielen will break the record because I believe he just tied it, right?
Yeah.
Was it 8 games in a row?
Calvin's record.
Oh,
so.
yeah. So he'll actually break it against the Lions, so that'll be funny.
Some other games. Let's see here. DJ Moore. That was finally the guy looked like he's a number 1 draft pick. 5 for 90, 2 carries for 39 yards. See, that's why I've kept him on my bench this entire year and didn't drop him. Right there. Some just flashes. And next week he plays Tampa. Could be another good game. It really could. I mean, I'm not going to get my hopes up too much. But the guy has talent.
Without a doubt. And he did it against Baltimore, which is, no small feat. The athleticism is definitely there. And it finally just kind of looked a little more comfortable. I don't know if I was alone there, but I felt like every time he got the ball, he was trying too hard to make something happen, or, he had a fumble, weeks past. I just, every time he caught the ball or had it in his hands, I actually felt like he was going to do something with it. It was just kind of he just looked a little more sure of himself.
And it's slowly been coming since the bye week. Before the bye week, he only had 2 catches those first 3 games. Since the bye week, he went 4 catches, 3 catches. So it wasn't huge, but there was something happening there, at least a little bit. And he did against Baltimore, has been pretty solid. So be interesting to see what he can do against Tampa and see if there's actually something there. Not sure yet, but this guy was drafted in the first round for a reason. So we should, maybe he can do something. So some other, I guess, disappointments. I guess you can call Tyreek Hill a disappointment. He got you 7 points in standard. Only 3 catches though for 70 yards. But this is the downfall of Tyreek Hill. Some weeks he's had what? He's had 4 games now in single digit points. He goes up and down. You never quite know, but he's so good that when he goes off, he's going to win you weeks. You just don't worry about it too much, right?
Yeah, it is another one. You have to play him every week in order to get his full value. He's that type of player.
He gets huge weeks when he does it. So
yeah, he's not. He is a very, and it's so funny too because Thielen and Tyreek Hill are 1 and 2 as wide receivers right now, and they're completely different players. And exactly for that reason, Thielen will pretty much go out there and get you the same amount of points. He's going to get 100 yards, 1 touchdown, incredibly consistent. And then you have Tyreek Hill who will, at the low end get you 7 points or something, but he can go off for 35. And I guess the question, some people can handle that volatility and some people don't. Who would you rather have out of these two? Even if they ended up, I don't know. I mean, they're going to end up around the same pointage. Like, if you had to pick one right now, who would you go with?
I always want the safe option, honestly. I have to go safe. Can't do it, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would too.
Yeah.
But it's tough because if you play Tyreek Hill, if your teams are very close, that he is going to be the difference maker.
True.
And it's very tough to go by. But yeah, I mean, I would go Thielen. I like the consistent pointage.
I think I just go with him because he's just so consistent and he's
It's a fun dynamic to look at, especially since both of them are ranked relatively the same right now in 1 and 2, but being such different players.
Yep. Yeah, it is weird. Yeah, because Tyreek's up there because of his 2 30-point games in standard scoring. Like that's why he's up. He just massive games. Then Thielen just does the same thing every week.
Yeah, you look at his stat sheet right now. It is ridiculous how close like each game is.
Right. And that's the knock on him last year was he did that, but he wouldn't catch touchdowns, and that has changed quite a bit. He's getting those touchdowns too. He's just good. He's really good. I'd want him on my team. I don't think I have him like anywhere, which is I didn't buy into it enough.
Yeah, well, you're probably happy though because you do have Diggs on quite a few teams, don't you?
I do, and I got him for pretty good value.
So he definitely showed up after a couple game slump.
Then there's some other guys that had some terrible games. T.Y. Hilton only 1 catch, but it was 34 yards at least, but 1 catch. And so last week coming back from the injury, he did well scoring wise because he had 2 touchdowns, but he only had 4 for 25. So in 2 games back, 5 catches for 59 yards. Little worrisome, especially when the Colts put up 42 points in this game. And T.Y. was only able to get 1 of those catches. Oh, I don't really know who's getting the catches, really.
I don't either. I was very surprised when I saw that because I think the only thing I really saw was the 1 catch he had. So I assumed he was doing better than he was. But I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about this? Doesn't really affect how you view him, though, I assume, does it?
No, he's a guy you play.
Right. And he's about to hit bye. I mean, once again, Colts, anyone in Indianapolis has a rough road to go.
Yep.
Obviously, same deal. We talked about Mack, bye, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Miami, Jacksonville. But I think T.Y. is usually a very safe play. And I think if they keep throwing the way they have been, even with these tough situations, the passing game should still be fine.
Alshon Jeffrey didn't really do much this week, but against Jacksonville is always a tough matchup. So 4 for 35, kind of not surprising. He has a bye week, then he'll be fine. Juju Smith-Schuster, not much there today, but that's going to happen from time to time with him. He's the second receiver on a team. He's not the number 1, so it's going to happen. He's been good, but he's not doing what he did those first 3 weeks. So you probably feel good about trading him away right now, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that worried about Juju, but yeah, I mean, I think I got the better end of the deal.
Kenny Galladay, 1 catch for 12 yards.
Yeah,
which followed up last week's 2 for 37 after I hyped him up. So thanks, Kenny.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him.
He's good. Yeah, I know but it's just not sure. Not sure what's happening with the Lions right now. But
after the bye week, I don't know if people figured out how to play him a little bit better,
maybe,
or to game plan for him, maybe, because it was a steep drop off after the bye week. Before that, anywhere from, usually he was averaging around 80 yards and a touchdown, say. 3 out of the 5 games he scored a touchdown.
Yep.
The last 2 games, oh my gosh, 2 catches, 1 catch, 37 yards, 12, and then 0-0 for touchdowns. And they really shouldn't have been that bad of games. It was Miami and Seattle. Not 2 teams that I'm, really afraid of. So does it worry you down this stretch? Like, do you kind of view him a little differently this year compared to next year? Or are you still pretty high that he's going to finish well?
I do worry a bit. I worry if he's in my. There's some teams that you have to put him in your lineup, but I wouldn't feel confident in him right now. He's not getting the targets, so I'd probably still play him right now, at least next week. But the confidence level is very low. Future wise, still love the guy.
Right.
Right now, a little worried.
Another guy that maybe has everyone's faith a little shooken is Doug Baldwin.
Yeah, he's
only 2 catches for 26 yards today. Obviously, he's been banged up and not been himself. He had 1 good game against Oakland, but he still didn't get in the end zone or anything. Nothing to, go wild about. How are you feeling about Baldwin?
I'm probably not playing the guy. He's just sitting on my bench. I don't have confidence in the Seattle overall. I mean, they did get the win, but it's not like their offense is great. Wilson was 14-7. Didn't have to do much. The run game is what might get them going right now. Shoot, who led the team? Was it David Moore? Led the team in receiving today. Ed Dixon came back at tight end. Did a little bit. They're just going to throw to whoever. Yeah, they don't really need to do much. They're just try to run it.
Exactly. And I really don't think Baldwin is fully healthy, or something is wrong with him. And I think if you drafted him, I think the reality is he's just not going to be, his usual caliber this year. And if you could trade him away still for anything, I personally would. How do you feel about that, though?
I don't know if you're going to get anything for him at all right now.
Yeah,
if you could and get something, do it. I just don't think you're going to get anything for him.
Yeah. And I was going to say, two more people that were a little upsetting to watch today. Both Geronimo Allison and Randall Cobb coming back after injury. They're both in there. You're thinking maybe one of them will do something. Randall Cobb did have 40 yards, 4 catches, 40 yards, and Geronimo Allison did nothing. Obviously, they lost that game. But what did you think about that? I mean, do you think that they're just not fully healthy, or the game plan was going away from them?
Valdez-Scantling and St. Brown might have passed up Allison slightly.
We say that, but even those guys didn't have a whole lot.
They didn't do much either, but at the very least, I think they're similar. They're same level as him, or at least they're involved now. Before his injury, they weren't involved. And I think right at this point, basically, if your name's not Devontae Adams or Jimmy Graham in the red zone, you don't really have a role right now. You don't really know what it is. It could change game to game. Adams, is going to get his. Graham's going to get red zone looks. And after that, it's going to be, it could be Cobb, it could be Valdez-Scantling, it could be St. Brown, it could be Allison. It's going to be hard to say.
Yeah, so true. And we kind of skipped over it, but Aaron Jones.
You got to give the guy more carries.
Yeah, when he gets carries, man, he does well. 12 today, 12 carries against the Rams, who obviously have a good defense, a good front, line. 12 carries for 86 yards and a touchdown. He looked good. I'm dying for the game where they actually give this guy 15 to 18 touches, and I think he's going to show what he can really do.
Yeah, I do too. How about really quick on tight ends, because this position sucks this year. Let's see here. Travis Kelce did well. He's great. Jared Cook did his good game thing, So next week will probably be a bad one. You can't trust this guy. With the state of the tight end position, you might play him.
Oh yeah, I mean he'll probably be played, definitely. But yeah, you don't know what he's actually going to do.
The interesting story. I mean, O.J. Howard did well again. Greg Olsen caught a touchdown, did well. Those guys did well. Zach Ertz got a touchdown to make his day worthwhile, and so did Evan Ingram. So those guys who didn't do much at least got the touchdowns. But Jack Doyle coming back from injury, and he had 7 targets, 6 catches, 70 yards, a touchdown. Eric Ebron only had 3 targets. He did get a touchdown as well, but looks like Jack Doyle passed up Eric Ebron that quickly.
It was. That's alarming. I was very surprised at how one-sided that the calls were going as far as who they were going to try to get the ball to, especially coming off of injury. You thought maybe they would kind of slowly bring him back in. Especially now that you'll have a bye week after this, so you can definitely make sure he's all good going into week 10. Eric Ebron has definitely been shouldering it. He's been fine. I don't know if this was what they assumed the other team was going to think, so they game planned around that and said, hey, they're going to think we're going to go to Ebron as much as possible. Both obviously had decent games. I mean, how are you just diving right in? Are you just saying, hey, Jack Doyle, I'd rather have him than Ebron? Or are you still hesitant and you think it's going to be game to game?
It'll probably be game to game. They're probably similar, but I would say Jack Doyle is at least now in the list of players you need to have a tight end. If you're one of those teams who've been hurting at the position, you might throw him in. I'm especially after being a David Njoku owner and seeing him get nothing today. Jack Doyle seems interesting.
Yeah, that was very disappointing for Njoku. I don't know what that was. Not one catch? I mean, come on.
Just very random. I mean, he had been getting better and better every week, And it just seemed like, he was involved, and all of a sudden, just nothing, not even a target. I don't think. Just a strange game. I don't really know how that went. The Seth Devolve, the other tight end, got a touchdown, but just a strange thing there for Njoku. I think he's still playing, but I might feel more confident in Doyle because I think Doyle's going to be involved in a better passing offense. So that's something I might look at myself. So
yeah,
I know.
The only other tight end that I was kind of interested in, because we had mentioned him before, and obviously tight end being very, very thin. Hayden Hurst on Baltimore, he was a first round draft pick. Yeah. He caught 2 balls. One was a touchdown. Nothing to get overly excited about. Obviously it wasn't even Flacco throwing it, so you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But obviously he looked good, and he finally looks like he is healthy. Is he on your radar once again moving forward, or do you think that this year is probably just not going to work out for Hayden Hurst?
It probably won't turn into anything yet this year, but again, like we said, the position's so weak right now. It feels like at least he's there. He's one good game or so, and he's all of a sudden an option for us. It won't take long to get there. So yeah, I don't see it happening this year though. And then how about some quick quarterbacks? Nothing too crazy. Pat Mahomes is great. Again, 303 and 4 touchdowns. He will be second this week in scoring. Deshaun Watson from Thursday night's going to pass him up, but Mahomes is great. Derek Carr had a good game, which still don't trust that guy. Jared Goff did well. Cam Newton did well. Russell Wilson did well. Andrew Luck did well. Carson Wentz did well. Aaron Rodgers is way down the list. He didn't hurt you, but he only got the 1 touchdown. Should have been 2. It was close to 2, but they called back the Jimmy Graham one. But nothing too alarming here at quarterback, I'd say. It's kind of what we expected. Ryan Fitzpatrick ended up with 23.6.
Yeah, I know, and he played for what? Not even a half?
No, not even.
Yeah, for me, the takeaways here, Fitzpatrick is an interesting one because if you find out that he is going to play, he'll be a great streamer immediately. Josh Rosen finally had a good fantasy game. Nothing I would trust yet, but it's always interesting because obviously that's someone that you could easily grab. But the guy that keeps kind of looking good, which I didn't expect, but Mitchell Trubisky. I gotta keep bringing his name up because he keeps impressing me, and I really like what they're doing with this offense with Tariq Cohen and getting different players the ball. Another very, very solid game for him.
He doesn't have to be great, as an actual quarterback. He's good. He's fine. He's not spectacular, but he gets fantasy points. That's all that matters to us. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm telling you, it's so similar to me about Blake Bortles in a way, where I don't think he's a great quarterback. Like the Blake Bortles of, a few years ago. I don't think he's great. He's better than Bortles, and he could get there. But it doesn't matter. He puts up fantasy points, and he keeps doing it. And he's able to do it on the ground, too. He always gets, decent amount of rushing yards every week. So he's continues being good. And, he's an option now at quarterback for you. Buffalo next week, that's probably a pretty good option. Then Detroit, I'd probably play him. One guy who actually, if there is a disappointment this week, it's definitely Drew Brees. Only 8.8. New Orleans gets the win, though. He doesn't care about this. He's had 2 games, though, 8.6 and 8.8 this year, both in wins for the team. So it's the way New Orleans does things. This can happen all of a sudden every once in a while. You still play Drew Brees and you put him in your lineup every time, but this game is lurking for you. Yeah,
and I tell you the truth, the games that he didn't particularly do well in, not games that I thought were going to be the case. Like, really, it was against New York Giants, which you think he would just absolutely torch them.
Yep.
And Minnesota, who, obviously they can put up points that you think you're going to have to throw back and forth, whatever it may be. But no, they just kind of kept it on the ground. They ran the ball a ton, and they just kind of waited for Minnesota to make the mistake so they could get up enough. But It is. It's a worry, but at the same time, it's also Drew Brees. And you look at the other games he has, and he's too good to sit or try to worry. And I think that's always the issue is you can't pick out the games that he's going to do this. Like maybe other ones, he does, like Roethlisberger. He doesn't play well on the road. Like we can start trying to figure it out. With Drew Brees, you have to play him every single game.
But the nice thing is, first week of the playoffs, week 14, he plays Tampa. So you should be fine.
So, right. So it's beautiful.
But all right, I think that's all I got for week 8 review. One more game Monday night, but we got Patriots, Buffalo. Should be a interesting one. I'll say that. If that one's close at all, I'm going to be shocked. This should be just a complete blow. But I guess you never know. It's Monday night. It's at Buffalo. Who knows? We'll be back tomorrow with our wonderful waiver wire episode this week. Can't wait for that one, Jeff.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see how long that one takes.
But all right, we'll talk to you guys then.